I've had this Harbor Freight chop saw for like probably 6 or 7 years, and within like the first like week or so, the clamp actually stopped working. But now it has a whole new trick. Check it out. So I always have to vice grip, the clamp to the other side of the saw here, the fence, I guess. But now, when you take the plug, seems like a really unsafe failure, but it still works. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for tuning back in. It's been a little while since we've uploaded a video, but that's because a lot of progress has been made on the E92 drift car, and I'm gonna catch you guys up on what's going on. First thing I had to do earlier this month was make a 10-hour turn and burn trip down to Florida. You can see I'm driving through Florida right here, and that was to pick up a very specific part that's quite expensive on eBay or new or anywhere. I could not find this part for a deal anywhere. So I finally found a guy selling a used one, and I went down to Florida to go get it. I won it on eBay. First thing I've ever bought on eBay, and it was overall a great buy. So I went down there to get it. And I don't know if you guys know this, they just put a Bucky's in Georgia, down in Warner Robins, down 75, and I checked this place out. It is huge. I went in there specifically on my way back just to check it out. I really don't care about really big gas stations generally, but this place is enormous. They have things like barbecue and sweets and jerky and all sorts of stuff. You can see the variations of jerky you can buy from their kind of like jerky deli right there. They also have their own branded merchandise. They sell clothes, all sorts of stuff in this gas station, and this place was really packed. I mean, I could not believe how many people probably made the trip out to Warner Robins just to check out this gas station. But they had a fudge bar, and they had brisket sandwiches, so I tried me one of those. I also went over and got some beaver nuggets. I heard these things were pretty good along with my Arnold Palmer there. And look at this, they pay pretty well, long ahead of Biden's new plan. So this is what I went down to get, this carbon fiber Cybon hood. And I wanted a carbon fiber hood because the OEM M3 hoods are aluminum, and that's really, really difficult to repair. Also, carbon fiber is lighter, and this one had these nice vents in it. I don't know if I would have gone for the vents on my own. I'm probably going to have to cut some holes in this hood anyway for the wastegate dump tubes, maybe the kill switch and things like that. But I was super stoked to be able to go down and get this for a great deal. The other thing I got was my Wilwood steering column. So I've wanted one of these a long time, really only because they look so good in the interior of race cars. I mean, it's a beautifully made piece of metal. And to install it, of course, I had to put a firewall bearing in the firewall. So you can see I'm drilling out the firewall here for the firewall bearing. And I drilled it out as low and as far to the left as I could. But the Wilwood column is so strong that actually it can't have basically any crookedness to it. It can't have any slant. So you mount it on the steering, you mount the top of the steering column on the dash bar, and the tolerances are so tight that basically it has to be very, very straight. So really this whole depends on where your seat is mounted and where the steering wheel will sit in your lap. So I went ahead and lined it all up, found out where this hole was going to be, and I got it as far away from the headers as I could. But unfortunately, I am still going to have to modify my turbo kit, including the headers, to be able to fit a steering shaft in here. So I got my hole drilled. It's pretty easy, just a little 2-inch hole in the firewall. You can see how big the hole was for the old firewall bearing. And here's the entire column all put together. this is just a beautiful piece of metal. I mean, the tolerances are so tight, the anodizing, the polishing, everything is just so nice. The quick release is so nice. I mean, it's not like the NRG ones. The only thing I don't like about it is that the logo's crooked in the center of the steering wheel. But, I mean, that's kind of a small problem, not really a problem at all. And you can see I already have the firewall bearing put down there. I also mocked up the transmission tunnel in cardboard and got the handbrake mounted. Another thing I did was I got my bash bar all tacked up, mounted, and ready to go. In fact, I finished the whole thing. And this is my first time trying to make a radiused bar. And you can see that the bar has two very tight bends on the ends, and then it has this really long, big radius bend in the middle. And that matches the contour of the OEM M3 bumper. So this was my first time trying to make a bash bar with this kind of radiused curve in it. And I bought the tube, I guess it's called a tube roller. I bought it from Harbor Freight for like 150 bucks, and it was complete trash. I mean, seriously trash. I think I rolled about 3 inches before the Allen heads kind of snapped out of it, and I had to basically drill a hole through the die, drill a hole through the roller, and actually pin it myself with a very hard, thick piece of metal. And finally I got it to work for quite a little while, but it is kind of loosening up, so I have to find a better long-term solution. But it did make the bend after some time, and here I am getting the final welding all done and this thing completed. I welded the top halves on the car, and I was too lazy to lie down and weld the bottom halves on the car, but if the car was on a lift, I might have welded the bottom halves too, because if I were to just tack this together and try to take it off the car and weld it all off the car just from tacks, the welds can actually pull the two connecting points inward or outward depending on where I start, and then when I go to shove it back on the car, it might not fit anymore because the welds have pulled the mounting plates apart or put them closer together. So here I am just welding this up, and I welded a good probably 75% of it before I took it off the car itself. I don't know if you guys can hear my cat in the background, but he wants to play with the ball, and I'm sitting here recording. Okay, so she's all done. Probably still pretty hot at this point, but I went ahead and tried to, yeah, you can see me kind of testing it there. I went ahead and tried to fit this up, and you can see actually it's shoved on there perfectly. I mean, I couldn't ask for any better fitment than I got here. In fact, it's not bolted on or anything. You can see I was able to take the jack stands out. So if you make a bash bar yourself, I suggest welding as much of it on the car as you can, then finishing it up off the car so that you don't have the mounting points spread apart or pulling closer together. I may still add a jacking point to this bash bar in the front. I just have to understand where the intercooler will be placed so that the jacking point will not interfere with the intercooler placement. And maybe the jacking point will also include the hangers for the intercooler. I'm not really sure yet. But I definitely want a jacking point in the front that can protect the intercooler and maybe even protect the bottom of the front bumper. So guys, take a look. I mean, this thing fits really, really nicely. It matches the contour of the bumper almost perfectly. And it sits about maybe 1.5 inches or 2 inches inward from the edge of the bumper, and that's just to have a little bit of a crush room for when I give my friends little taps and things. I also got the motor mounts done. So the motor plate's on there, the motor mounts are all welded up, and I'm gonna weld the back of it when I have the engine out, but it's all set. The motor and trans mounts both are all done. You see they just kind of bolt in. I drilled a couple holes and put some bolts through them. One thing I was kind of upset about is I bought these M3 style fenders off eBay, and I thought that M3 style meant kind of a knockoff M3 fender, not a M3 style fender for a 335i. And you can see here I have a hood meant for an M3, but my fender is meant for a 335i. So if you look, the hood is like 1/2 inch longer than the fender, And if you look at the corner of the bumper there, actually it doesn't have the M3 flare, so it's not really a wide body fender. It's just a narrow body fender that has an M3 vent in it, and it's still made of plastic. So if you buy these off eBay, don't think they're going to be flared. It's not really a big deal for me because my body kit is going to basically cover all this, and I'll cut most of the flare out anyway to fit the wheels and body kit and things like that. So it's not a big problem for me, but just be forewarned, if you buy this stuff, it doesn't fit like you expect it to if you use M3 parts. Lastly, I just had a couple things. I got my oil valve kind of placed where I'm going to put it and start determining where I'm going to put the AccuSump lines, and I got my ECU kind of pinned to the side there. And I also got a cardboard mock-up of my transmission tunnel cover done. So guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Remember to subscribe, like this video. It helps with the YouTube algorithm. And I'll see you guys next time. The next video will be us finishing the quick change subframe for this car. So look forward to that, and I'll talk to you guys later.